Welcome! My name is Colleen Tauke and I'm the sewing specialist for Fons and Porter. In this Quilting Quickly tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the blocks that go into the quilt Snowbirds. We are going to be using 10-inch pre-cut squares and then adding in yardage of a light color fabric for the outer border. If you're interested in the pattern for this project, visit our website. And then we're going to begin jumping into the cutting for the blocks. I isolated one of the blocks here. It is what we would call a flying goose or a flying geese unit, and therefore the flying geese going south, snowbirds, all kind of goes together with the story. So we're going to be creating just this block over and over and then varying the direction that the geese are flying within the quilt. So in order to make this from 10-inch squares, you're going to be using 40 of these fabrics, 10-inch squares, and you're going to divide them into two camps. 20 in each. 20 are going to be used for the squares that go on as kind of the background that you see here in orange, and then one of the groups will be used as the triangle, which we call the goose part of this block. So we're going to divide camps like this. You would go down through all your fabrics and divide them up where you want them to fall in your quilt. Now, in order to create these background fabric squares, we need to have a stack of 5-inch squares. So if these are 10, that means that we're simply cutting these in half both directions to yield the squares that we need. So cut at the 5-inch line, window pane cut, yields 4 from each of them. So we'll have then a stack of small squares to use. And then from the other set of 20 that we're going to use as the goose part, we are going to be cutting those down into 9.5 by 5-inch pieces. Always good to have your rotary cutter on lock in case it does get dropped. Okay, so we're going to be cutting this into the appropriate sizes. So we're going to cut it in half first. We need them, so we would have rectangles that are 5-inch wide by 10. So I've put the 5-inch mark along the outer edge of the block here. We're going to cut down through. And then if you want to, for time's sake, you could stack them together, one on top of the other. And they need to be 9.5 inches as rectangles. So I'm going to put the 9.5-inch line here, line it up, and we're just going to be very thin on the waist. Just a few little strips like that is all we're going to be wasting. Great way to utilize the whole 10-inch block. Okay, so we're going to have those as background. Since we've got one here, that's orange, we'll talk about for each of these rectangles, you'll need 2 squares like this. And you could go down through and pair up all the prints, deciding which ones you want to have together, because I do scrappy, but I do plan scrappy most of the time. I've got some step outs here ready. Talk about how to create the flying geese unit. Here's another version of it. It's fun to put the different prints together. It's if you've got kids sewing with you, you can have them help you pair things up and stack things so you'll be ready to go. So we're going to be taking 2 squares, and then we're going to mark them diagonally, corner to corner. And let's see, here we go. If you haven't made flying geese units before, this is going to be a great practice because the entire quilt is made from these units. So it's a simple marking on both of these. I've marked them a little heavier than I normally would, but so that you can see them. And then these are placed right side together. Do one at a time, and you will stitch from corner to corner. I've got one here already stitched. So you would then, once you've got it stitched, you open up this piece, making sure that it covers the underneath completely. I tend to finger press a lot. So we've got that out. You would take that to the iron then and heat set it so it's nice and flat. And then you'll trim away the underneath 2 layers. And you can use your rotary cutter, you can use a scissors. That's up to you, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Sometimes We forget that we have scissors and we want to rotary cut everything, but scissors still works great. And you just leave approximate 1/4 inch seam allowance behind. Then the second piece that you marked goes on the other side. Now remember, you can only do one at a time. You have to have this opened out before you add the second side. And you're going to stitch again, corner to corner. Open it out, and this one is stitched in both directions. This one's not trimmed yet, but then you would trim away, and you have your Flying Geese units. Now, in order to create the quilt, got enough blocks here now. We can talk about the direction that the geese are flying. So we begin row 1 like this. So they're all flying in one direction. And of course, there's always those geese that want to fly in the opposite direction. The fun part with this quilt is arranging all the blocks and working with all the wonderful prints in your set of 10-inch pre-cuts. This is Snowbirds. For more of our Quilting Quickly tutorials, visit our website. Thanks for joining me today.